Okay, let's go ahead and do a recap of today and what we kind of did. I made this on TikTok, but I'm gonna start trying to come live on YouTube. I think YouTube is something that I potentially will do coming into the new year. So if you guys want to have access to live trading, of course, it is within the members area. That is going to be getting a revamp as well. But essentially, as you guys can see, this is a 2 minute NAS chart. I always chart on the Black Bull market. So let's actually just do a full rundown. I'm hoping this will stay live on my YouTube. I think hopefully it will. I'm still trying to work out the kinks. Obviously, I haven't done this. I'm more familiar with doing like other social lives. So let's go ahead and look at this and see how we I do this essentially. So when I'm charting, like I said, I'm always on the Black Bull markets, the NAS 100. When I'm on my broker side, obviously for futures, I'm trading futures contracts. I do have personal accounts on the Forex side as well. Kind of why I trade this way. It just works for me. It's easy, it's simple, it's quick. Everything I talk about and do will always be on here. So okay, so always on there. I do have HA candles on. If you guys aren't familiar with HA candles, they're the Heiken Ashy candles. How you get those on, you come up here and you can hit this drop down and you can either have regular candlesticks or you can come down here and you can turn on your HA candles. They will be all the way down here at the bottom. So we'll turn those back on. So one thing about HA candles that I definitely want to point out that a lot of people maybe don't, not that they don't know, but I would say earlier in my trading journey, I've been doing this 6 years. I was always hesitant to use HA candles because of the way that they are gauged in the actual true price. So now I don't really care because I'm looking at my broker. I think just it's a newbie thing too. Entering on HA candles, as long as you're looking on broker side, you shouldn't have an issue, or I haven't had an issue. Of course, this is not financial advice. I do have to always say that. None of this is financial advice when you guys are watching me. So, with HA candles, right, they're going to show continuation. A lot of people, when they start trading, struggle to stay in trades, hold trades longer, and this shows significant continuation, right? We can clearly see that these candles are climbing. Even if we go down to a 1 minute chart, we can still see that same thing, right? There's no color change in these. That's another thing. Obviously, with trading, you have to set your own rules, right? Everybody's different. Everybody has different risk parameters. Figuring that out for yourself, that's something we talk about in the group and go over how to figure out those, what that looks like for you, maybe what that looks like for your account, maybe what that looks like for your risk tolerance as maybe your anxiety levels, right? Everybody's very, very different. So now when we think about this, right, these HA candles kind of make sense for holding trades or watching momentum or being able to stay in trades, being able to see when candles kind of get weak or understand that. That's kind of why I use these. But let's go over the trade today that we took. When I'm getting on the charts, I'm always looking for areas of interest. So you'll see all the time I have these zones marked out, right? All these zones. Why do I have them marked out? Well, if I go look at previous areas where price has done something, right? I'm always looking at areas of interest. Why did price have a reaction here, right? What am I looking for? So, I'm looking for, just places where something has occurred. Are there sellers sitting there? Are there buyers sitting there? Why am I doing what I'm doing, right? What am I looking for? I'm going back in the past and I'm looking at areas where, okay, prices come here multiple times, right? An area of maybe consolidation, an area of support, an area of resistance, right? These are all areas of interest where I'm anticipating price to go. And I don't know that, at the beginning of the day or, throughout the day that price is potentially coming all the way down here. That's just, how I trade. you don't ever know, right? If everybody knew what was going to happen, we'd all be millionaires. But that's just not the reality of this. So, now when we take these into account and we start to break this down and we're like, okay, so we have these areas of interest, we have price showing, certain things. I will take bear flags, flags into consideration. I'll look at what other markets could be potentially doing. I'll look at, ES. I'll look at individual names as well. I'll look at a few different things to make my bias as well, but primarily I'm looking at these levels, and then I'm looking at momentum. I'm looking, like I said, for a few different things. So, with that being said, for today being the 29th, we're at the end of December. We're at the end of the year as well. Obviously, expectations coming in today for myself was I didn't expect a lot, just because of those two key factors, right? It being the end of the year, it being the end of the month. And also taking into account news, right? If you're not looking at news, you're doing yourself a disservice. You want to know what's going on. Is there red folder news? Is there anything happening in the news that you should know about, right? Making sure you're on top of it so you don't get a volatility spike and then just potentially blow your account. So, there's a lot of things that go into this to make a good trade happen. It's not just momentum. It's not just a key area. It's not just an indicator, right? It's a multitude of things that have to take place in order to be able to take these trades. So, like I said in my TikTok, if you guys have watched any of my TikToks, I said it over there, and we'll get into, I'm just going to break this all down on here. I don't know even how many people are watching. If you're watching, say hi, but, or share that. I don't know if you can share this out. Can you share the live out? Anyways, I'm just going to kind of do a repeat of what's on my TikTok. I'll be sharing it here too, the videos that I took this morning, and we'll get into that in a second, but let's go through the recap really quick and break this down. So, I took essentially the short right here out of market open. I thought we were going to push down through my level. I had trailing stop on, thankfully, and it stopped me out of this trade, and I was in profit, which was fine, but it was just a garbage trade because it immediately reversed and pushed up. So then I was able to capitalize on this move for around 90 points, right? So 90-point move to the upside, and then I was looking at the actual NQ chart on broker side, and I was looking at the 720 level. I told myself, okay, and I'm talking out loud, right? Anytime I'm doing this, I'm talking out loud. We're live with the team. I'm walking through these trades live, and I'm, my thought process, right? This is all educational. This is not financial advice. Again, I have to continue to say that, but I'm walking through these trades, right? I'm talking out loud. Why am I looking for this trade right here? On broker side, I'm saying, okay, well, if I see a hold below 720, we popped up over 720 and then came back down and then had a beautiful sell-off. One of the team members, again, not financial advice, I think was 1,300 on this trade. Beautiful trade, right? The third trade, I was looking for it to come back down to the zone. As we can see, I ended up getting, again, full transparency on this third trade. So, mind you, I've taken this trade, which was beautiful. This one doesn't count. Obviously, yeah, I made some money on it, but this one doesn't count. This was awesome, amazing, couldn't have asked for better price action. This trade was great too. Nothing wrong with that. This wasn't where a majority of my money was made, and then some of my money, and then I got stopped out of this trade. Why did I get stopped out of this trade? And this is something I do personally. Maybe this doesn't work for everybody, but what I do to stay profitable and continue to be profitable is I will move my stop to break even on subsequent trades, generally after 1 to 2 trades. So sometimes it's my second trade is moved to stops to break even, but typically it's my third trade. So if I'm going to take more than 2 trades, my third trade and any trade after that will be moved immediately. House. Here. No, house. Sorry. My other trades will be immediately moved to break even. Frankie, house. So it did stop me out, but then I saw momentum come back in. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna, I got stopped out of this, so I'm gonna jump back into this and I'm gonna follow this down. So I ended up following this trade down. Frankie, here. Let me actually put them outside really quick because he's a bad dog sometimes. Come on, outside. Hey, come on. Outside, Frank. Okay, let's get back into this. So the third trades, what I was saying is that for me personally, I will move my stops to break even on those subsequent trades, and I got stopped out and then I got back in on momentum. Why do I do that? So let's break that down a little bit. I do that because I'm not willing to risk any of the money I just made, right? I'm not willing to say, whatever the few thousand I made here and then the few thousand I made here, even if it's just a few $100s, it's not worth it to me. So I will just close it out and protect my capital, right? I'm always protecting my capital when I do this. So there's something to be said about that. Obviously, it came down, didn't ever hit full TP down here at the zone until way later in the day. So you would have had to sit through all of this chop in order for full TP to be hit. Is it doable? Absolutely, right? There's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion, but it's heavily dependent on you as a trader. Everybody's trading journey is different, and understanding that. So that's the trade recap for the 29th, and I hope this is helpful to some of you. If you guys watched the replay, go ahead and comment replay. If you're live now, just say hi. But I wonder if I can see the chat on this. Oops. I don't think so. Anyways, that's fine. Okay, so another thing we're going to talk about with this video, like I said, I'm just going to share essentially what I shared on TikTok anyways. These will be in my content gallery. Like I said, I want to be able to, oh, it doesn't show it. Anyways, I want to be able to come live, and this is obviously my first live, and I'm not entirely sure how to do it, so bear with me on this one. Of course, you guys can fast forward my voice, but what I was talking about over on TikTok was essentially that most of my TED Talks or most of like my psychology stuff is always saved for my community, but I thought it was really important to bring this into the socials that I do have, because I think it's really important for not just my community to hear, but anybody who follows me, anybody who's contemplated, started thinking about trading, anybody who wants to potentially change where they're at in their lives and kind of, stop doing maybe some of the things they're doing. I love diving into the psychology of things. I love to be able to help people. That's where my passion lies. And what better way to be able to help people than to potentially show them, how I'm able to make money, and maybe they can do the same thing. Can everybody do it? Can I make income claims? No, right? This is all at your discretion, not financial advice ever. I know I have to keep repeating that and like I'm beating a dead horse, but that is the truth of it. Trading is hard. Trading comes with a large amount of risk, and don't ever trade money you're not willing to lose. But with that being said, the TED Talk that I did over on TikTok was essentially the idea of New Year's resolutions and how I think they're just not a good thing. And I think society has, implemented this whole New Year's resolution, a clean slate, start fresh, do all of these things when it's just not realistic, right? I think they're super detrimental to a lot of people. And I think it's important to understand that and try to figure out who you are as a person and not only as a trader. I think when you start correlating the two, whoever you are as an everyday person is going to correlate into your everyday, like in, or pour over into your trading, right? So how you are day to day is how you are trading. It's essentially like a mirror. And we've talked about this. We've talked about cognitive dissonance. We've talked about neuroplasticity, being able to rewire the brain. These are all important things to start to understand if you're wanting to be serious about trading, because it's going to help in everyday life. So going back to the idea of New Year's resolutions, essentially what I was saying on TikTok is that I think they're BS. I don't think anybody should have New Year's resolutions, and feel free to fight me in the chat. I'm here for it. I like a healthy, you know, debate on this, but I think that when you set New Year's resolutions, right, and I put it in the perspective as if you're somebody who finds yourself always waiting, right? You're always waiting for that next new year, right? Like, I know we're only a few days out now, and I had been thinking about this for a while, and I wanted to post it sooner. I just didn't get around to it with the holiday rush. But if you're somebody who's always like, oh yeah, I'll just wait till New Year's. I'm going to wait to eat healthy until New Year's. I'm going to wait till January to go to the gym. I'm going to wait to learn how to trade. I'm going to wait to start a new job or look for a new job or change something about your life, right? And then New Year's comes, right? And you've set all these New Year's resolutions. And, you know, I gave the example of you start in January and you make this list, right? And come June, you've maybe done a few of them, but June, you're not really where you want to be. You haven't really gotten to your actual goals of what you're trying to do, right? And I gave the example of, say, you wanted to go to the gym, you wanted to start eating healthy. Maybe by June, you wanted to make $40,000, right? And June comes around and you've not really done any of it, right? Maybe you went to the gym a few times. Maybe you really haven't met your goal of reaching $40,000, and then another 6 months goes by, right? And it's December again, and what are you waiting for? You're waiting for that New Year's resolution. You're waiting for the clean slate. You're waiting to start fresh. You're going to do all of these things, right? So it creates like a negative loop. And I think setting New Year's resolutions is the worst thing you can do for yourself, especially if you are somebody who has not reached goals while doing so. So if you find yourself not reaching these goals, how do you fix that, right? How do you stop doing that? How do you create good, healthy goals and not create this negative loop? Because essentially, my perspective of this, right, and I could be wrong, but my perspective of this is that you continuously set these goals for yourself as a New Year's resolution that you're going to do all these things, change your life, and become this better person, and then you never do it. You're doing a disservice to yourself, right? You're not serving yourself by doing this. So how do we stop that, right? My goal with being able to teach, with being able to help people, with being able to understand these mindset things, right? To be able to reframe your mindsets. If you guys have been following me at all for a little bit, you'll hear me talk, or if you start following me now, you'll hear me talk about reframing or, just trying to change the perspective of how you perceive things, like taking losses in the market. Instead of saying, like, beating yourself up, you took a loss, you reframe your mindset into, okay, well, what lesson did that teach me, right? So being able to reframe your mindset, even when it comes to setting goals and thinking about New Year's, right? So when we think about that and we start to tell ourselves, okay, I'm somebody who has done everything I just said, right? And I've been there. I've done these things. And that's why I had to quit doing it. I had to quit setting New Year's resolutions because I was hindering what I was actually trying to accomplish in my life, because I would not reach these goals, and then I would have a pity party and the poor me and all the things, and it just was this revolving door of BS, right? So, okay, How do we quit doing that though? We set small, attainable goals. And that's the same that goes for trading, right? When we start setting goals for ourselves and being able to attain these goals, it's the same thing as having an account, right? A funded account and getting a payout. It's the same thing. And it's really interesting, the psychology of it, because once you get a payout, something shifts psychologically. Okay, well, once you reach a goal that you have set for yourself, something shifts psychologically. It's the same exact thing. So being able to understand that and being able to reframe, right? And like I said, it's trading and everyday life. They intertwine. If you're a better person because of the things you have done with trading, right? You're going to be a better person off the charts. So I like to be able to teach on and off the charts, to be a better person, to be a better partner, to be a better sibling, to be, maybe a better coworker, whatever it may be in your life, it's going to translate on and off the charts. So if, like I said, if you find yourself being that person who does all of these things, stop waiting, right? Stop waiting for New Year. Stop waiting for the clean slate. Start today, right? Start in an hour. Start at the end of your workday. Whenever you're watching this video, start after you're done watching the video, right? There's no reason that you guys have to continuously be the person you were yesterday or be the person you were 6 months ago. You're allowed to change. You're allowed to overcome all of the things, that maybe have been holding you back. And you can change the trajectory of your life. There's nobody standing in your way except for you. So that is essentially what I was talking about over on my TikTok, that I'm going to bring on here and start doing lives on here, start doing trade recaps on here, and start doing some more psychology stuff on here, because I think it's super helpful. It's super important, especially for those of you who really want to, start trading full time, start making maybe even just side money, right? Or learn a new skill that doesn't require you to leave your house if you don't want to. There's so many avenues that you can take trading, that it doesn't just have to be, your end all be all. It could be something you do on the side. It could be something that, you know, propels you to the next level in your life because it teaches you discipline, right? There's so many ways that trading, I think, can help people that I think are very overlooked because of the flash and the lifestyle that people see with trading, right? But when it comes down to the nitty gritty of trading and what it actually requires you as a person to do is pretty phenomenal, right? And I think it needs to be spoken about a lot more, how to do this, how to really, become profitable, how to stop doing things that you're doing. And I think when it comes to like course selling or people selling things, like, or talking about strategies, right? One thing about strategies in trading is, and I've said it and I'll say it a million times, is that you could have the best strategy in the world, right? And I've heard people tell me, like, don't say that, don't do that, don't give that away. It's like, but it's so true, and I'm always going to be transparent, is the fact that you could have the best strategy in the world, right? But if your mindset and your psychology is not on point, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You could take the richest, most lucrative trader in the world and get their strategy and think that you've gotten the golden ticket, right? And that everything is going to change for you, and then nothing changes, right? Because your psychology isn't right. So essentially, that's just what I wanted to kind of leave this at, this being my first live. And let me know, you guys, in the comments if you're rewatching this, like I said, and if you like this style of trading, if it's helpful to you, if you find value in it, if maybe it opened your eyes to maybe something that you are doing, maybe you are standing in your own way, and that maybe starting to set goals for yourself instead of waiting, right? Instead of waiting for that moment, instead of starting the new month, instead of starting the new year, like, and just make those goals for yourself. I know this was a little bit more rambly than I wanted it to be, but that's okay. We all start somewhere, right? So if you're watching this on replay, right replay. If you guys haven't subscribed, make sure you guys are subscribing to the channel. That helps me out as a teacher, creator, all of the things, right? It's more beneficial than you might not realize. It's very, very helpful for me. And then commenting and sharing the video out. If you know somebody who's struggling with trading or struggling with mindset, motivation, discipline, any of those things, make sure you share this out to them. That helps me, that helps the community, and I look forward to coming live more, and I will see you guys tomorrow live. I'll probably be live after New York's main session, like in the morning. So to go over recaps, if you guys do want access to the actual live trading, then the community is in my bio.